to India and Ireland, round Africa and back again. We don't really need to know just where we'll go. Maybe Canada, then to Brazil, then through the Alpine foothills. All I really want to know is, can we go? Oh baby, can we go? Round and around the globe.
Welcome to Take Me With You, episode 58. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Cheryl. We are two well-traveled people who want to go everywhere.
But that's not going to happen. So instead, we'll travel vicariously by inviting a guest to share their unique travel stories with us.
Today, we are talking to Kristen and Adrian, and we are so excited to have you guys on. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yay.
So you know Ryan from work, maybe? I was trying to figure out, how do you guys know each other?
Yeah, we're both science teachers at Lake Washington High School.
Awesome. Very
Yes.
cool. Science, you're nerds. I can't even say the word science nerds. Science nerds unite, maybe?
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
We're a special breed.
We are. And we are a lot of fun, if I do say so myself.
I would agree.
Oh, I'm so happy for you guys that you tell yourselves that. That's really sweet.
We tell ourselves that because it's true, Cheryl.
So, Kristen, do you share Ryan's love of trying to find science attractions when you're traveling? Have you ever tried to do that?
Yes, I was very disappointed that the Madame Curie Museum in France, was literally closed the month we were there.
Oh.
I was most looking forward to that in Paris, and it failed to happen. And also, we were late in line for the catacombs, so I didn't get to see
Oh, man.
bones
Something to do
either.
next time.
Yeah.
See, that's a great
So we try
attitude
to.
there, Adrian. Yeah. Right, next time. Next time.
That's our attitude as well, yeah.
All right. So we got a set of questions that we typically will ask everybody to get started. So the first one, and you guys can either answer together or you can answer individually. It's totally up to you. But the first question will be, why do you travel?
I'll go first. I think we had kind of different experiences starting out, but I have been lucky enough to work, live, and explore new places since I made the decision to go to Hawaii Pacific for my undergrad. That was the first time I was really exposed to a diverse place and really a true melting pot of cultures. And so I think that decision to go to school in Hawaii really fueled my need to explore and to experience different cultures. So I think that's why is that diversity and uniqueness of experiences.
And I feel it's a great way to recharge your batteries. So going out, experiencing something new, just breaking your day-to-day habits and embracing other cultures or cuisines or anything else that from the place that you go to. I think it helps a lot when you come back. And you have new perspectives on things and new goals of things you want to see in the future.
Yeah. See,
That's
those
very
are perfectly
cool.
good reasons for traveling. Not like I can think of very many bad reasons for traveling. I
No.
suppose. But those are good too.
Airplanes. Airports.
So, Kristen, what type of diversity do you experience in Hawaii?
Well, it is first, Native Hawaiian culture is definitely there. It's the only place in the United States that has a palace. So being able to just explore that culture. And then it is heavily Asian influenced as well. A lot of Japanese tourists, not just tourists, but people living there, and just so different from suburban Chicago.
Which is where you grew up.
Yes, it is.
And then, Adrian, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Romania, so I have a totally different point of view from my beginnings. Coming to the States, you experience a whole new culture and way of doing things.
So when did you move to the States then?
It's, let's see, 13 years ago. I was 19.
Okay. So you did your
Time
entire
flies.
childhood in Romania then?
That's correct. I even started college there for 6 months, then uprooted over here, went to college, all the way in Midwest to North Dakota.
Oh, why did you pick North Dakota?
It's a long story, but I had a really good friend who was going there for aviation, so I didn't know better, so I was like, I'll check it out. It's very cold, would not recommend. And then after
My
I
favorite
graduated,
part
I
of
moved
that
to
answer
Seattle.
is saying I didn't know better.
That's true.
Oh, that's awesome.
So then, Adrian, do you still speak fluent Romanian then?
Yes.
And do you still have family that lives in Romania?
Yeah, my parents are here.
Well, he has an uncle and grandma and cousins in Romania. We actually visited them over the summer when we went.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome. So this being a travel podcast, I have to ask, what did you experience with how people travel who are Romanian? Like, how do Romanians travel? Do they travel? What's it like?
They do travel. I want to say, at least when I was growing up, they like to do about the same things every year. Like for me, I went to the Black Sea probably 10 times in my childhood. That was every summer. That was the thing to do. There's different resorts there, so it's a little bit different every time, but kind of the same. And then in wintertime, a lot of people like to go in the mountains, skiing, that kind of stuff. Today, I've noticed that a lot of my friends from high school, they do travel abroad more. It's more affordable. There's like a lot of cheaper options. So they do explore a lot more outside the country. But when I was growing up, that was the thing to do, was go see attractions within.
Very interesting.
distances.
Yeah, you could drive or take the train. That was the cheaper option. And, people are
Sure.
having a good time. There's a lot of interesting things you can do there. So you don't necessarily get bored even if you do go to the same places over and over.
That's good. I mean, I think that's one thing that often the idea of going someplace new all the time, I think can lead to that quick boredom when, I think sometimes the charm of a place are in those subtleties that you don't notice if you're just there for 3 days or something, as opposed to going back and being able to notice those subtleties and the differences and the nuances and things. I think that's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, final initial question, and then we'll dive into your travel story. What is your number one travel tip?
I guess just recently I've loved doing the free tours on foot or the pay-as-you-go tours for each city. So that's kind of my first, I guess, travel tip for when you're looking for something to do. I've never been disappointed by any of the tours. They give really interesting information, usually by locals or people who are very into the history of the city, super enthusiastic, and you kind of just get an idea of where to go and recommendations for what to do afterwards. And Seattle even has a few of them at Pike's Place, and those are great as well. But any city abroad really has some good ones and a lot of options.
That's
And for me,
cool.
this one's probably a bit obvious, but plan ahead or have some idea of what you want to do and see. Like schedule sometimes, okay, I want to spend 3 hours at said museum, or go to this restaurant, or different things that you would want to see in different cities. I think that helps a lot to have a place to go versus when you're there, you're kind of overwhelmed. Which way do I go?
Which is why we travel well together.
What is why you travel well?
I've had a detailed itinerary. I made sure all tickets were purchased, that how long we'd stay at each place, how long it took to get from one place to the other, addresses linked in, and I even scheduled free time into our plans. So
Ryan does that too. Well, it's funny that you were saying that that's an obvious one, because I don't think that planning necessarily is an obvious one for everybody. I think that there are people who purposefully don't plan, because they don't want those things decided for them in advance. They don't know how they're going to feel, or they like the adventure of having it not planned. And I think Ryan and I are much more on the planning side. So I think we can both relate to the, isn't it nice when you already know the address of where you're going or you already have the tickets? And so, Yeah, that's interesting. So with that, how do you plan? Do you do books? Do you look online? Do you have a document that you're storing all this in? Like, what does planning look like for the two of you?
I think first I just like coming up with a list of things I want to do and see. Kind of, especially if it's like a major city and it's my first time there, going to the obvious places, like they're popular for a reason, and then maybe starting to dive into more unique things to do. And then the second list I always make is what I want to eat. So like what foods are part of that region or area that are kind of must tries, maybe something you can only eat there, and then kind of merging those two things into a table spreadsheet of how many hours we're going to be at each place or things like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And one thing that I do a bit different, I guess I'll go to TripAdvisor first and then see what the top 10 things are in any given place. And then what I like to do is go on Google and search things based on ratings, and then I'll
He loves
flag
reviews.
things. Yeah, I'll flag things that I want to go to, and then once I have a good amount of stuff, then I'll figure out, okay, all this stuff is in a certain area, so we can kind of do them all on the same day. And
Nice.
and I'll send Kristen a list.
That sounds like what
I use
Cheryl
that
tends to
strategy as
do.
well. I like to star things on Google Maps and then just look at it and be like, all these stars are right next to each other. I can go to all of them in like an hour. So, yeah.
Yep.
But Cheryl, do you make a must-eat
Oh, of
list
course. Of
before you
course
go?
I do, yes.
See?
It's all about the food when it comes to travel. So.
All right. So, what trip are you both going to be telling us about today?
We went for about 18 days last summer through Amsterdam, and then a train to Paris, and then traveled through a good chunk of Romania. So not just even one city.
Nice.
So, why don't you go ahead and sort of give us kind of the overview? You sort of did a little bit, but like how many days were you in each place, and kind of what did you use to get yourself from one place to the other? And then kind of hit some of the highlights in each of those places.
Sure. So we started off in Amsterdam, and we're determined to not let jet lag get the best of us. So jumped right off the bat right into things. So we were actually there from August 1st, I believe, to the 4th we left. So we had about 4 days there.
And we got there at 8 a.m., so definitely jet lag.
Full day.
Oh boy, you had the whole day to make it through. Oh, that's so hard.
So we decided to buy the Holland Pass in order to go to a bunch of different attractions. So at this one, they have like a bronze, silver, and gold one. The gold one offered like 6 different attractions. So the hardest thing was finding the place at the airport where we can pick up our Holland Pass. It was like
Yeah, definitely obscure and like in a random corner,
Really?
not marked by anything.
Yeah, we were going in circles and circles and
We
circles.
probably passed it at least once.
Yeah.
Huh. And you had bought that ahead of time, and we're
Yeah,
picking
so we
it
bought
up?
the pass
Or were you
ahead
gonna-
of time. And then
Okay.
there's a few things we had to actually make reservations for beforehand, but most of the things we were able to just go directly to the ticket counter and just show them our pass and have them scan it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the Rijksmuseum, or I think I said that right. Museum was one of the ones we visited first. The Heineken experience was part of that. We went to a canal cruise from that, or 2 of them actually. One was like a big touristy one, and one was a very small, kind of personal canal cruise, which I think was the highlight of the trip. And then we went to
Of the whole trip, not just
of Amsterdam, I should say. That's right. I mean, it was
Okay.
one of my favorites of them. And then we went to an ice bar as part of that pass.
Oh.
And then the House of Bulls Gin Company. So we did a tour there. So pretty much there's options outside of Amsterdam as well, like the actual city center. but we didn't have enough time to kind of venture out, unfortunately. So we kind of picked things that kept us in the city district. And trams were probably the best way to get around, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a stop every, like, within 5 minutes walk from anywhere.
Oh, nice.
And
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, you just get a pass and it's unlimited. Get anywhere within the city.
So I've looked at city passes sometimes, and it's hard to figure out, like, okay, is it really worth the value? Like, can I really actually get, like, my money's worth out of this? So did you feel like you really got your money's worth out of it?
I do, because the gold pass was €75, and with the 6 different with the 6 different attractions, it easily paid for itself within 4.
Nice.
I think what is important though is they had like 50 options for things you can choose, and really kind of taking the time to research, well, how much would it be if I did buy this ticket on my own? So I did put quite a bit of research into it before selecting that pass, because I think there's like an I Am Amsterdam pass and a couple others as well.
Yeah, because if something's like normally €5, then it's like, well, is that really worth trying to get a pass for it then? Yeah, that's a good point. Very cool.
And for traveling, you definitely want to get the day pass if you're going to use the tram more than, say, 3 times. And there's a lot of walking if you're going to walk from one place to the other, so definitely recommend getting that.
Nice.
Or renting bikes, that works too.
Yeah. We didn't rent a bike, but it was a popular option there.
That's very cool.
Lots and lots of bikes there.
Nice. Was there anything in Amsterdam that was overrated? Like you felt like wasn't worth it?
I think the red light district was not necessarily my favorite. We actually went though during Pride Week, and that Saturday was their big festival. So it was pretty crazy in terms of just the amount of people there. And then there was like, well, actually when we did our small boat tour of the canals, we were going around, and then the parade for the Gay Pride Festival was on the canals, so he actually drove us up towards where they were entering. So we got to see kind of what was going on, and he extended our tour a bit.
Oh, cool.
Because of that,
That's awesome.
So it was just an individual boat driver, and it was just you two and him?
Well,
or?
it was a small boat tour, it was called, and I think we were just lucky enough where it was us and then 3 other people. I think the maximum, though, would be 15 on it.
Okay.
So you kind of met at a dock near Central Station, and they took you kind of into the smaller canals that you wouldn't be able to get to from just taking one of the larger tourist boats.
Oh, that's cool.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Nice. So then after that, you went to Paris.
We did. So we took a bullet train.
Oh, cool. How was that?
I think it's called the Talus.
What is it called?
The Talus.
Okay.
It's the only one that goes from Amsterdam to Paris, so it's not too hard to find if people are looking for
Okay. So do you know how fast it traveled and or how long it took you to get there?
I can find how long it took to get there, but I don't remember the actual speed.
like 2 hours.
Yeah, so 11:15 was our departure time, and we got there at 2:35.
Okay.
Cool.
So pretty quick.
That's awesome. That's a really nice alternative to flying then, as far as like time in the airport, you know, and like just, I mean, there's just a lot of time before you actually are like taking off with air travel. So that's really cool.
And it's probably not cheaper either.
Yeah.
True.
And it's just kind of fun being on a train.
Yeah.
So that's always a nice time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the bullet train experience like? Just for people who haven't been on a European train before, or a bullet train even more specifically, compare it to, say, flying.
To flying, I mean, just the speed is great. I've been on a couple throughout Asia as well, and sometimes it's funny because your ears pop, so you kind of have to equalize as you're moving. You definitely can't just stare out of the window and like track one specific thing. You kind of get dizzy. I would feel.
things are a lot closer.
Are they all assigned seats and they're all, in staunch rows like on a plane? Or is there some flexibility? Can you get up and move around?
We did have assigned seats. So the seats are 2 on each side, and then some areas have backwards facing seats, so you can sit 4 people together pretty much.
Yeah, with a table
Yeah,
kind of in the center. There's a luggage rack when you get in for larger bags, and then there's the overhead space if you have like smaller carry-ons. And you can get up and move around. There's a bathroom as well, so you're not stuck.
Yeah. Is it like, because I know it's a shorter trip compared to, like a traditional kind of train, but do they have a dining car and things like that as well, or?
I honestly don't remember.
I don't either.
We didn't look into it.
I think you have options. If you get like a first class ticket, you get some sort of bar or something included in it. But for what we got, I don't think there was anything available.
Not that I remember, but I slept, so.
Oh, good for you. That's a good use of your time.
I usually search out the dining car like the second I get on a train. And where is the wine exactly?
Well, see, and then my question is, how much legroom is there compared to being on a plane?
I thought it was pretty good. There's like a little footrest you can pull down to like set your feet on.
Nice.
And you don't have, I would say you can't like put your legs out, but definitely more than like a frontier flight somewhere.
The seat doesn't recline, but it's more comfortable.
Yeah. A little bit more arm space as well.
Awesome. Okay. So how many days did you have in Paris?
Let's see. We had, I think, 1, 2, 3.5 days.
Okay.
There.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
so we left, we almost didn't make the Anne Frank house in Amsterdam because I bought tickets for the wrong day on accident, and they're very hard to get tickets for.
I've
I'm like,
heard
I bought
that.
them for 8 a.m. the day we left, and like I said, our train was at 11, so we went right away and then ran to the train, somehow made it. So that's why the sleeping was good. But yeah.
Yeah.
That first, and then we get to Paris and it's like the hottest day ever. Like, I guess I had a heat wave like a week before.
Oh, yes. You were there over the summer when they had a couple of heat waves.
Yeah,
this
it was
last year,
the
2019.
week after the biggest one, but it was still like 90s, maybe 100.
Yeah, it was crazy. Because going from Amsterdam, we were like in sweaters and it was a little bit rainy and overcast too.
It was
my
pretty much Seattle weather.
goodness.
Seattle weather.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a shock initially because we literally spent the whole first day like walking around. Our hotel was kind of near Notre Dame and the statue of Saint Michel or Michael, and literally walked all the way to the Eiffel Tower that day, passing a ton of places, and
That was
wow.
probably stopped and bought water like every 20 minutes.
And water on the street is not cheap. It's like €1 a bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll bet. So you mentioned Notre Dame. So when were you there in like timeline with when it burned?
I think it was like
We were there 4 or 5 months after.
It burned in April.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Okay.
4 months
August.
only then. We were there August.
How's it looking?
I mean, the basic brick structure is still there.
Right.
So there weren't any like tours or anything going into it.
Yeah, there was scaffolding all over the place, probably holding things together.
Yeah, but what was interesting is that second day there, we took a walking tour, and the tour guide was talking about how it has changed since it's been there. Like, this isn't the first addition or first renovation it's had, and how there will be many more to come. He said that they're hoping that in 5 years or so they'll have something constructed.
And they raised like several $1 billion like, within 24 hours or something.
Super fast for it.
Wow.
And now they're taking design ideas, I guess, just to see
Or proposals.
Proposals,
different
what it could be.
architects.
I've heard about that. I told my architect sister to enter in the design.
Oh, there you go.
That would be an amazing project to have your name on.
Right. So much pressure,
Right?
though, as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man. Okay, so I think a lot of people know Paris, or like it was talked about Paris, and so I guess like I'm curious. First of all, was this your first time going to Paris?
It was both of our first times.
Okay, and what was your experience like? I would love to hear like for you, what stood out to you? Like, what do you? I mean, you already kind of mentioned, but like, what do you wish you could go back and do either for the first time or do again? Like, what was it? What was it like for you?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I noticed was that their underground system is really far underground. But it was very convenient. Also, that for like what you would think of a Western city, there was a lot of French. There wasn't much English there, and even from traveling to major cities in China, there's sometimes more English signs there. I would say even than Paris in some spots. So those were initial kind of observations. Also, it's very white. Like, in terms of the buildings, like, they all have a similar kind of style, and,
You're right, there's not a lot of color
I
there.
never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because we went up one of the towers, I'm going to butcher it if I try to say it, and just looking out, it was kind of monotone. It was really hard to pick out the actual, like, places, like, where the Louvre was or where specific landmarks were.
Yeah, everything blends together, but then if you get closer, there's different architecture styles.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
has some variety, but from far away, it's not as easy to capture it.
One thing that we did kind of get stuck on, though, again, I'm a sucker for a good tour, and I found one that was like, it was also supposed to be a canal tour, so I was thinking it was like a small, like, Seine River cruise kind of boat tour, and it was literally going through the locks of this short little narrow passage, and it was pouring rain that day, and like we literally had to wait for locks to drain and then refill, and then they didn't really tell us much history about it either. So don't go on a lock tour.
Yeah, no, it was like
It was
2
literally
hours.
just
It was-
It
going
was
through
2
the
hours
locks?
going through the locks, and there was like maybe
There's 4 locks
four of them.
and not much else going on.
geez.
Not much else going on. And like I said, pouring rain. So we sat outside at first, and then we tried our umbrellas, and then we sort of ended up standing inside before we got seats because it was packed. Like everyone else was suckered into it as well, I guess.
It seemed like there was a lot of locals.
So
though.
I'm
I
getting this.
Didn't get the sense that there was a lot of tourists on that.
That's true. But for that boat, it was full.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. But you would not recommend the
No,
lock
I would
tour
not.
then?
But we went on a food and wine tour, and I would highly recommend that.
What was the company?
Ooh, okay, you're gonna have to tell
Yep.
Cheryl about that one.
Who was it through?
It was it was a Viator one that I
Okay.
purchased, and it was of Momont, and it was delicious. I actually, well, one, I'm not a big cheese eater, which is probably bad within that area. So Adrian got all of those, and then
That's fantastic.
in terms of, yeah.
How unfortunate for me.
I know. Oh, what a sacrifice.
But I was surprised that I actually did try escargot, which
Well
wasn't
done,
as bad as
yay.
I thought. It was 2 chews and a swallow, so kind of
And would you have it again?
no.
But
I've
you've
had it now,
so-
yeah.
Yeah.
We tried 3 or 4 different wines, I think. So like a white, a rosé, and reds, which were delicious. And the macaroons there, oh my gosh.
Oh, they're so
They're-
good.
Yeah.
And the chocolate was really
The chocolate was good too, but the macaroons, like here, I don't like them so much because they're like really sweet. But there, it didn't taste as
Yeah, whatever the main flavor was of it, that was the
Yeah, that
They don't
was
overdo
hero.
it, probably.
yeah, so good. Oh, and eclairs, Pretty much any dessert there was a win.
Wonderful.
See, that's the food that you can get me excited for.
This is
so.
a dessert tour for Ryan.
Dessert and bread. You put those two together?
yeah.
Yep, I'm good.
And there was a pastry with cheese that was really good too. Kristen
I didn't
might
eat
have
it.
Any other things in Paris you want to cover?
So it was Adrian's birthday the last day we were there, and so it was jam-packed.
Oh, nice.
That was actually the day we did the food and wine tour, but like we're obsessed with The Amazing Race, and so I made him a little Amazing Race birthday challenge. So I made envelopes with the little things, and there was detours and
Oh, wow.
what's that one called? Detours and roadblocks and
Roadblocks?
stuff like that. So it kind of got him out of his comfort zone. But we ended up doing like a guided tour with the Louvre, which was amazing. Like we would have been overwhelmed if we did not have that tour. But then after that, he had to pick imitation or
Draw.
yeah, it was replication, imitation or replication. So he had to either pick like 2 or 3 people, random people from the museum, and have them pose as a picture, and I take a shot, or we would have to replicate a drawing and then have people vote on who drew it better.
Oh, jeez, that's
So
hilarious.
he picked the imitation one, and
Surprisingly for you, you thought I was going to
I was going to think you were going to do the drawing, yeah.
That was pretty fun.
It was
though.
really fun. We found people who were like, okay, and it's a great picture. It's actually like one of my favorite of the trip.
Oh, did we crash?
Oh,
No, no.
Oh, that's
fun.
hilarious. If you would be willing to share some of those pictures with us,
Yeah, we gotta
post
see
them on social media.
I gave you a bunch of them, but I will add that one to the mix as well.
Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, that was our last day in Paris.
Awesome. All right, and then you went to Romania.
Yeah, that one he can talk a little bit more on because I will definitely butcher
Okay.
the names of things.
So we flew into Bucharest, which is the capital city, and then my dad picked us up, and we went to my hometown, which is about 5 hours north drive.
Oh,
It probably took like 7 hours to get there, though.
Okay, I guess preface this, the roads in Romania are not the greatest. They're still working on a basic freeway system, so you do have to take a bunch of 1.5 lane main arteries, I guess.
1.5
There's
lanes.
like a weird passing lane that
Yeah, so
everyone
everybody
uses.
drives in the half lane and then you pass on the other side. It's very typical Eastern European driving. Not for the faint of heart.
Terrifying.
Yeah, so we got to my hometown and we walked around there the next day, visited my uncle, and then we went to it's kind of like a resort or attraction. It's called Slanik, and it's mineral water springs, and then a lot of people go there and get stuff for like medicinal reasons.
There's like different fountains where you can fill up your water bottle and drink them, and supposedly, or you can like get it so that you can like soak into. But when you drink it, it's like sulfury and disgusting and salty.
Yeah,
and
so the water like gets naturally,
it's a spring. Yeah, filtered.
yeah,
Huh.
different minerals get added to it, and then
Yeah.
it just comes out of the ground. And, a lot
And
of
there was
people
one
like
that caught fire.
Yes.
I have a video
Wait,
of
the
that.
water
Actually,
caught
I'll
fire?
post that video also. Yeah, like from the spout, because you like turn on the spout and then the water comes out, and like the different springs have different properties or tastes to them. And then
Different
one
levels
of
of different minerals, yeah.
yeah, and then one of them, a guy had like a lighter or something, and he turned it on and put the flame next to it, and a small flame appeared.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Like there's oil in it that
There's
burns
natural
or
gas
something?
that comes with the water, so
So it's healthy, right?
it splits up when it comes out of the pipe.
Huh.
It's very interesting. I think we have a video of that, right?
I have a video of that. I can
Yeah.
try to upload that
Yeah.
as well.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I'm curious, is that a sort of thing that visitors would go see, or is that more of a local sort
It's
of a
for
thing?
sure a local thing. Like you probably wouldn't find it on any major attractions unless you're stuck within an hour of my hometown. So
So we're getting the inside
one of
scoop
the-
here. I love it.
Yeah.
it's one of the things to do.
And what's the name of your hometown?
My hometown was called Comănești.
Okay.
And it's in Bacău County, and it's pretty small, like maybe 20,000 people.
I'll tell you about their school system someday too. And it's interesting.
Oh.
It's,
Different, but
it's quite different.
a different story for another time.
All right.
So after Slanik, we visited my uncle, and then the day after that, we started driving towards my grandma, and which is normally if you went the straight way, you'd get there in about 4.5 hours, but it was a day trip for us because we detoured for a bunch of attractions.
Oh, fun.
But let me tell you, his grandma is 96, 97, living by herself in this old farmhouse that has an outhouse and no running water, but there's Wi-Fi.
There's Wi-Fi and cable.
Yep.
Wait, what? Say that
So
again?
it's this old like farmhouse, over 100 years old. There's an outhouse. There's no running water inside, but his dad hooked up Wi-Fi.
Well, you gotta have the basics.
Priorities, I guess.
But yeah, she's
Sounds like a
Doing it.
millennial.
yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, so on the way there, we went to a town called Bicaz, and there's a big dam there. We stopped there for some photos. Then we did Bicaz Gorge, which is one of the narrowest gorges in Romania.
Oh, cool.
It's carved by the Bicaz River, which is pretty small, it's like a mountain spring.
Oh, wow.
And right after that, when you get to the top, there's a lake called Red Lake, and it's one of the few naturally formed lakes in Romania. And back in the 70s or 80s, or even when I was a kid, there used to be a lot of tree stumps in it, but these days not so many.
Okay,
Yeah, so
well, then we
the
moved
tree
on.
stumps kind of disappeared in this day and age. But one dessert there that is traditionally Hungarian, and there's a small Hungarian population in Romania, and it's called, and this is in Hungarian, so I'll probably butcher it. It's called Kirtos Kolacs, and it's bread wrapped around spit and dipped in sugar and walnuts, and then they cook it over the spit for about 20 to 30 minutes.
It like rotates like a rotisserie chicken, but
Yeah.
it's a
What?
scrumptious dessert.
That sounds
Oh,
amazing.
that sounds really good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Wow.
So that's what
that
I-
sounds great.
Very popular street food.
Yeah, it's what I remember from Red Lake.
But it's Hungarian, you say?
Yes, traditionally it's Hungarian. And in that area of the country, which is called Kovasna, there's maybe more than 50% of the population is ethnic Hungarian.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, really?
You'll hear both Romanian and Hungarian quite
Interesting.
often.
Are the two languages at all similar to each other?
No, they're not. Romanian is Latin,
Right.
and then Hungarian is very similar to Finnish.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You get to learn new
it's
things
not,
too.
it's not
Yay.
related to any of the Slav languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
am I correct in my memory that Romanian is considered one of the Romance languages?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's actually the language that's the closest to Latin.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, really?
You know.
Didn't know that either. Very cool.
No, I did not.
Learning on-
So basically, you're saying you're fluent in Latin, is what you're saying.
That's what he's claiming.
I did take a year Latin in school.
Okay.
and I could probably read a decent amount of it, but no.
That's
not
cool.
fluent.
Awesome. So this was, Kristen, was this your first time visiting Romania?
It was. It was actually my first trip to Europe.
Wow. Oh, that's
So I think I got,
nice.
I think I got a pretty good first trip in. It
Yeah.
was more than I could have even thought of on my own. So, yeah, first time in Romania, and definitely won't be my last time.
That's awesome.
That's for
So,
sure.
Adrian, what were you most excited to show Kristen in Romania?
I was excited for her to meet some of my family and my friends. I thought that was pretty cool. And then as far as touristic attractions, even though it was way out of the way, Bear Cave, I thought it was very interesting. There's a lot of caves in Romania, but if you're gonna just see one, that's definitely the
Where
top
is
of
it?
the list.
So
And it has, it's in, it's way far in the west part of the country.
and what makes the cave cool?
So it was discovered in the 80s,
Really?
and then it has a lot of stalactites and stalagmite formations.
It's large. It's really big.
And then it's called Bear Cave because there's a lot of bear bones in the cave. Like there's, they think that it was used by bears as a hibernation cave, and then at one point the entrance to it collapsed, so it trapped 40 to 50 bears in there. So there's a lot of skeletons.
And the tour guide would say like very long sentences, and then he would bend over and be like, the bears got trapped in here. I'm like, there has to be more that he just said. He talked for like 3
Well,
minutes.
some things get lost in translation.
So I learned a little bit about it.
So funny. So you're not going to be taking a job as a translator anytime soon, then? Or?
He probably wouldn't do
I
well.
thought
for
I
that.
synthesized it pretty good.
The most important part you got.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
funny. I mean, I guess it's true that different people have different amounts of words to say something. Like, I think I say things in like a couple sentences, and then my fiance will say like one sentence, and it's like, she means this. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
So is the cave one big chamber, or are there a lot of smaller chambers that you can kind of go through? What's the layout?
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 chambers, and it's about 1 kilometer long.
Okay.
Cool.
So you go from one area to the next. There's more of the cave that's not open to the public, and you kind of need to go through a small tunnel, like crawl, and that's basically sealed off for
Safety.
safety, and also people do research there.
Well, Kristen, you're shaking your head back and forth.
I don't like that small little dark space thing. The big open one is fantastic, but
Yeah.
I would not go crawling through a tunnel in a cave.
Yeah. I think there's 3 main rooms that are kind of divided a little bit in the tour.
So are they
goes
trying to
through them
protect it?
separately.
Like they're only letting tour groups go in, people can't go on their own or anything like that?
Yeah, it's sealed off, and then you can only go in with the tour guide, and they also keep the lights off as much as possible, so there's not vegetation growing in there. There's a couple examples that the tour guide showed us of moss and stuff kind of taking over in some areas.
So did they turn the lights out on you?
They did once, like he covered his flashlight just to show how dark it was and how easily you can get lost and turned around. Is what I'm guessing it was for. I guess.
Yeah.
So the cave is not lit beyond flashlights then?
No.
No, were there some places?
Well, there's spotlights that are
so a few
positioned,
spotlights, yeah.
but they turn them on and off just when people are in the room. So.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But also, not a cave, but we went to a salt mine.
Ooh.
Wow.
Apparently, it was like a big salt industry there, but they've turned it into a very strange attraction. So you go down into the salt mine, and they have kind of like how they processed it and like some of the equipment, but then at the very bottom, it's like a little amusement park.
What?
Yeah, there's
What do you mean an amusement park?
There's like you can rent rowboats because there's like small little lake, I guess pond, I guess you'd say down there. There's a Ferris wheel.
What?
You can play like putt-putt golf. There was like
my
skee
gosh.
ball. There was a lot of different like carnival type activities that you can do down there.
That's
So-
so weird.
Huh.
It was not what I was expecting when they said salt
Oh,
mine.
weird.
And how many of those attractions did you guys participate in?
We went on the Ferris
Nice.
wheel, and then we tried to do the putt-putt golf, but I think it was a bit of a wait.
Yeah, and I asked about the boat too, and it was at least a 40-minute wait to get
Yeah.
on that.
We're just looking at pictures of the salt mine. Oh my gosh, that's way cool.
Oh, yay. Yeah.
So the pond that you were describing actually goes around the amusement park.
So it's a little
Yeah,
island. Oh my
it does.
goodness, that's so dramatic.
Yeah, it's a level below the amusement park.
Yeah, it
It's-
goes down a little bit further.
It's a bit in a corner. Like there's so salt mine has different halls where they dug, and it reaches a point where they can't dig anymore because it risks collapsing it. So then they'll dig another hall next to it, and maybe that can go deeper depending on the angles of the walls.
Huh.
So those two halls are connected, and then we had to take a staircase, or you can take an elevator to go further down to
Wow.
the water.
Oh my goodness.
And it was busy, too. Like, it was an attraction
Oh,
people
cool.
go to.
Wow. So
So
that's
definitely
very cool.
unique.
That's really unique. I was just finding it on Atlas Obscura. Do you guys know that
Yeah.
website? Oh, it's,
No,
if you guys are into your
Ooh,
research,
it's a
I think you
fun
would like
one.
it. Ryan's a big fan of it.
Yeah. Yeah, because so it's a website, obviously. Kind of, you can sort of think it, not really TripAdvisor quite as much because it's not all about the kind of crowdsourced ratings. And the idea is you can find the more obscure, less well-known things
Oh.
on it. And you can find some of the mainstream stuff too. But you can they have different tabs. They've got trips, experiences, places, foods, stories.
yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, so it's a fun one. Oftentimes they're not, all of their sites aren't close by. So sometimes you'd have to go way out of your way to go see it. So it doesn't always work. But there's some cool things that I've been able to find on Atlas Obscura, and those salt mines are there. So there you go.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it's definitely out of the way because most people fly into Bucharest, and that's...
Yeah, you have to go to Cluj, which is like from Cluj, which is the second biggest city in the country. It's like a 30-minute drive to the salt mine, so it's not
Okay.
too bad.
Very cool. So, Kristen, what was your favorite thing that, other than meeting friends and family? What was your favorite thing that you did in Romania?
So I have to make sure I say it correctly, or he can say it for me.
Peleș Castle.
Peleș Castle. So this one is kind of like a fancy castle that was built for King Charles the First, who was like a German king who was placed in Romania.
Yeah, so a bit of history. Romania was split into 3 countries for the longest time, and then the neighbors of these 3 countries didn't want us to be connected because then we'd have more power. So in order to have a legitimate union of Wallachia, Transylvania, Moldova, I guess back in the 19th century, the rule was we got to get a king. So not only do we have to get a king, we decided to get one from a legit place, which is Germany. So we had
Ordered up a German
King Charles
king.
of King Charles of Hohenzollern, I believe, is the house name. He agreed to become king of Romania, and you can't just live anywhere.
Yeah.
So he decided to build Peleș Castle for his family.
Which was beautiful because we went to 2 other castles as well. We went to Corvin Castle and then we went to Bran Castle, which is where like the Dracula, it's Dracula's castle where Vlad the Impaler was. Never actually lived there,
Supposedly
but
lived,
supposedly,
yes.
yeah. But this one, I think, coming out of France and seeing Versailles, like I kind of enjoyed this better than Versailles. Like it was just as extravagant. The tour was very nice. We were just listening to an audio guide. The woman who was bringing us around like really told us stories about how the rooms were constructed and what they did in each room. And then we actually paid extra to go into like private living quarters. And something I was very disappointed at in Versailles was that we didn't actually see a royal bathroom. And in this one, we were able to see the bathrooms that were attached to the rooms. Yeah, so we saw a royal throne.
Kristen, why do you want to see the royal bathroom?
Is it just curiosity or jealousy?
It's pure curiosity. Like, everything's so extravagant. They have like marble everything, or this beautiful wood carvings. They spent so much money. Like, did they put that much effort into their bathrooms? Like, were they actually super modern for that day?
And what's the answer?
General curiosity. They did not meet the expectation of the grandiose of the rooms. It was pretty basic. Yeah, he just pulled up a picture. There's like a little bidet type toilet thing going on. There's a couple benches and like a metal soaking tub. Yeah.
Okay.
And jade walls.
Oh, jade walls. That's true. So, okay, that's pretty impressive.
So you really wanted the opportunity to be disappointed by the bathrooms in a castle.
I did.
How you mentioned comparing it to Versailles, and I mean, I only was at Versailles briefly at one point. I mean, did the tour or whatever, but one of the things that I didn't like about it was how crowded it was when I was there. I'm going to guess that this, you said Peles, is that?
Yep.
Peles Castle?
Peles.
Okay. Was probably less crowded than Versailles?
I think just in terms of the amount of tourists, yeah, but for the size, it's smaller. They didn't have a very good organizational system, so they had like tours going in Romanian, so there's a separate line for that, and then they had tours in other languages, and they like you had to put on these little like medical booty things, or like they cover your shoes in as you walk through. So like they only took like a chunk of people at a time, but we were all just standing in front of a door, and then someone would come out and be like, the Spanish tour is in 5 minutes, and then the English tour is here, and then there was like tour guide groups there that were like, well, we bought tickets for this, and then so that was the worst part, was just waiting outside for a long time.
Yeah, going in as a like individual or small group is not very organized.
No, because they should have had like lines saying like English tour, and then everyone lined up behind that line, and then the Spanish tour and the Mandarin tour, and like.
Apparently they're not planners like you guys are, so.
Nope, we could have like definitely got them into shape.
A new life mission of reorganizing the castle tours in Romania.
But once we were in there, like, it was fantastic. It was my favorite of the three castles.
So you might have just answered this question, but to kind of reflect on this whole trip that you both shared about, and you can have individual answers. We have a question based on the title of our podcast, Take Me With You. If you could take us with you to just one thing on this whole trip, what would it be and why?
Yeah, for me it would be probably, and this is maybe because I haven't been there before, but the Amsterdam canals, I thought were unique, and would definitely take you on a small boat tour.
Nice.
Okay.
We accept.
Honestly, like, I think I had such a unique experience just in Romania. I can't really just pick one thing, but having your own personal tour guide, I would take you on the trip with Adrian, so that you would be able to see a lot of the country in a short amount of time, including like the countryside. Like, I didn't know that, cows can just wander wherever, and I didn't know there was like this big gypsy colonies there, and just getting some of that background. It's not really an experience you can have if you didn't come with us.
Yeah.
Nice.
We haven't really talked about the food that much.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of attractions.
How dare you. And what's your next trip?
Okay, well, I'm actually going to Disneyland next weekend with my friend Ashley from school.
Who has also been on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, friend of the show. Yeah.
We're going to visit my family in Chicago over the winter holiday, but I guess as far as our next, like, actual kind of travel ideas, there's this company called Pack Up and Go. You pay a certain amount of money. They ask a questionnaire. They plan the entire weekend for you. You don't know where you're going until you get to the airport, and you open the
Oh my
envelope,
gosh.
and it's like a 3-day weekend thing. So I think for our anniversary, we're considering doing that. It's like local. It'll be within the United States, but
That sounds amazing.
I was going to say, I'll bet Cheryl loves that idea. I do not love that idea at all.
Oh my gosh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I
they'll
also
tell you
want
what
to
to
work
pack.
for them.
yeah,
So.
yeah, that'd be so fun. But yeah, they tell you what to pack, and then you're there for 3 days, and hopefully they've taken care of like accommodations and tickets and give you suggestions for restaurants and stuff.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it'll be the closest thing to the
Nice.
Amazing Race we could do without actually going on the race.
That's fantastic. Oh, very cool. And do you have any travel questions for us?
I guess the only one I can think of is, do you know anything about traveling with a small dog? Because we're taking Wesley to Chicago.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Okay,
That's like
on a plane?
an unknown. Yeah, he's going to be our carry-on.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I've heard definitely just go get the meds to make him all nice and chill. And a friend of mine who travels for business just all the time says she sees dogs on the plane just all the time. And so she was like, it's not really a big thing. I've seen some like pet areas at airports even where you can like take your dog to go potty like within the airport or things like that. So that's really cool.
That would be good to research.
And then, finding where are those places in the airports. And then, I mean, there's so many places that are dog friendly. I think it's important to ask. And if you ask ahead of time, that can really help you with your planning too, as far as like restaurants that are dog friendly or hotels or, all these different things. And so, that would be my advice. But I think a small one's a lot easier than a big one when it comes to air travel. So, yeah.
Pretty lucky.
And then let us know how it went, specifically me, because I have a small dog I have never flown with, but I'm just super curious, like what that experience is like. So, yeah, cool.
All right, we're going to go ahead and transition to the last part of the podcast called Wish You Were Here. During this segment, each of the four of us is going to highlight a travel attraction from the different places that we've been. It's kind of just a quick little snapshot of some place or event or cool thing to do in the places that we have been. So, who would like to go first?
I will.
Great.
So Thailand in general is my favorite place on earth currently that I visited,
okay.
I guess. I've been to northern and southern and spent multiple trips there. The one place that I would recommend is the Elephant Jungle Sanctuary in Chiang Mai. It is a truly special eco-tourist place. They have, I guess the number varies in terms of elephants, but the people who run it there are like from that area. They live on the lands that the elephants are as well. Then their main job is to protect them and make sure that they're healthy. So they have these tourist groups come in to kind of help fund their program, but it's not like one of the places where you ride the elephants at all. You learn about them, you learn about the history, and then you kind of go into their habitat and see if they come to you type thing, which mostly they do because you kind of bring some food with you as well. So you get kind of like up close with them, and then at the end, then they give you like a traditional lunch in like a tree house essentially, which is amazing. And then the last part is you go and give them help with a mud bath with them.
Help with a mud bath. Does that mean you get all muddy?
You do get all muddy. So they give you like buckets and stuff, and you get kind of in the mud with them. You'll kind of splash it on them. They kind of roll around, and it's like their sunscreen, so it's what they need to do. It's like after a bath, actually. So that's like how they end the day. And I think it was just, they're amazing creatures, and there was amazing diving and stuff in the southern part of Thailand, but this one was really such a special organization, and I think they did a really nice job, especially having friends go and be like, I rode an elephant, and I think there's a lot of abuse and stuff that happens within parts of the country. So it was definitely a amazing thing to see.
Cool.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Adrian, what's your wish you were here?
I'm going to take you guys to Croatia, and the location is called Plitvice Lakes, and it's a system of about 18 lakes, if I'm not mistaken, and they're all at different levels, so they have waterfalls that go from one to the other, and then there's a trail system.
Oh my gosh, I want to go there.
You definitely should. There's a trail system that goes all around and through them, and you get really close to the waterfalls, and it was quite breathtaking being there, and would definitely go again, and would highly recommend if you're in that part of the globe.
I'm looking at pictures he has on his phone now, and it's like the bluest water ever.
Which part of Croatia?
It's a bit inside. It's not quite on the coast. It may be 2-hour drive from Dubrovnik, north.
Oh, okay. So it's still fairly south.
I think the closest city is probably Zagreb, I would say.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't get close to the capital. We mostly did the coast and then just ventured outside for this particular item.
Okay.
It was definitely worth it.
Awesome.
That looks gorgeous.
You found it,
I'm
Cheryl?
looking at pictures now. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
What's it? What did you say it's called?
Plitvice Lakes. So Plitvice.
Oh, there it is.
Wow, that's so pretty.
Ooh. This makes really, really good podcast audio.
Yeah, sure does.
We don't really describe anything. We just make noises.
I mean, all of a sudden, Google searches are going to spike. You know?
It's true. It's true.
Go to Croatia.
Wow. But they're just, I mean, it's so, the colors are so vibrant, not just the water, but also the trees around it are super green. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and there's, I guess, a lot of porous terrain or something.
Yeah.
But it still holds together.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like maybe it's a national park.
It is.
Very cool. That's probably why it's still beautiful.
That's probably part of it. Cheryl, what do you want to do for your wish you were here?
I would like to take you guys to Eastern Washington, to the exotic land of Walla Walla.
Walla Walla,
People
Washington?
might have heard of Walla Walla, Washington. And people might know Walla Walla for the sweet onions, but I like Walla Walla for the wineries and breweries. And there's a really fun area. There's a couple different districts that have wineries and breweries in them. But one that's really interesting to me is the airport district. And it is right next to the airport there. I think it used to be like an army barracks area or something. It's just, I don't know, being from Western Washington where there's hills and everything, it just looks very odd because pretty much it's like this flat land and the streets are a grid, and the only thing there are scattered buildings around this like grid of streets, and each one is either a winery or a brewery, and that's like all that's there. And so, and you can like see everything, and so it just like feels very fake to me in a way, almost like you're like in a video game and you're like, oh, that's all the buildings that they built, because then there's just like empty space, and then there's another winery building over there, like and so, but it's really fun because within a few blocks you can go to like 10 different ones, and so you can just go do little tastings along the way, and it's just, yeah, it's a really unique area, and kind of weird, but also very awesome to get to go try a bunch of wine and beer. So
Nice.
Yep. And Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to do something that is really local, at least for me. So it's in the greater Seattle area, specifically on the east side of Lake Washington. I think technically it's in Redmond, but it's sort of the Redmond-Kirkland area. There is Willows Golf Course, which is a big, huge, giant golf course area that's in this really pretty valley, and the road is called Willows Road that runs past it. But what I'm actually going to mention, since I'm not actually a golfer of any kind, because I have zero athletic ability or skill, is they have a mini golf course there that I find incredibly fun, and I enjoy it. Now, I just like mini golf sort of in general because I just think it's funny and ridiculous. But what's sort of fun about this one is it's set up to kind of be different regions of Washington State. So as you're kind of going through, they have different, each hole has a different, I don't know, title. It's not exactly a city necessarily, but they're different spots throughout Washington State. And so they sort of kind of look like them, but it's mostly the, fake green grass stuff. But they definitely have different attractions, and they have, at least for a while, I don't know if they still are running this, but they had certain hazards. Like at one point there were fans that would blow your ball a certain direction at certain times, and you kind of go through this cave with this waterfall over it and things like that. It's an outdoor mini golf course. So since this is the Puget Sound region, the greater Seattle area, weather's a factor. So keep that in mind. But especially in the summer, it can be really, really fun. And it's just a fun little mini golf course if you're looking for, an hour or two of just silly fun.
Yay.
Nice.
I think we'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, he's Googling it right now.
Yeah. because they have a bunch of different things as a part of Willow's golf course. I think the mini golf is called Rainbow Run, I believe.
Ah, we see it.
There
Nice.
it is.
Yeah.
Oop, there it is.
Saved.
Oh, he just added
Added a little
flag.
star on Google Maps.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, that is all we have for this week's episode. Kristen and Adrian, thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
You're welcome. Yeah, it was really fun.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. We would love it if all of you listening would follow us on social media. We are at TMWY Podcast. That's TMWY for Take Me With You Podcast. We are on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And the pictures that we've sort of been referencing that Kristen and Adrian are going to share with us, we will post those to our social media so you can make sure and see those.
You can also email us at timwepodcast@gmail.com. Something that we would love to receive some emails about right now is that Ryan is currently planning a trip to Disneyland.
Yay!
And he has not gone since he was a wee little boy. And so we are going to be doing a special Disneyland trip planning episode for Ryan pretty soon. And so we need our listeners to write in and tell us all of their Disneyland travel tips and tricks. Ryan, what's one of the topics that you're looking for some help on?
This week, I would love to get some feedback on the things at Disneyland that aren't rides. So I know that there are things to do that aren't necessarily rides. There's shows and character things and stuff. That's about all I know.
There sure are. Yep,
So,
no, you nailed it.
I need
don't
to know.
why you need
Yeah,
help
clearly
with
I
that.
know it all. So I just need to know what are the things that I need to also think about besides rides. How do I do those? Do I need reservations? Do I have to get someplace at a certain time? What should I do? So yeah, if you all could send in an email with your tip or suggestion, or you could call us and leave us a voicemail. Our voicemail number is 406-763-8699, or if it's easier to remember, that's 406-POD-TIMWY. I would love to have you just record that and give your tip so we can play it on the podcast. I would also love it if you would rate and review us on whatever you're using to listen to this podcast to help kind of spread the word. Also, if you subscribe to the podcast, you'll get a notification every time we post a new episode so you don't ever miss out. And we would love it if you would share about this episode on social media so other people can hear the cool stories about Adrian and Kristen's trip across Europe.
I really wish our listeners could see all of your hand gestures because it's pretty fun.
I don't know what you're talking about.
As always, thank you to Beth Reed Miller for the use of her artwork. You can check out more of Beth's artwork at Beth is Something. And thank you to Erica Corbin for the use of her song Round the Globe. You can listen to Erica's music wherever music is sold or streamed.
That's all we got. We don't have anything more. Kristen, Adrian, thanks one more time for being on this
Yay.
week.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yay.
Yeah.
And until next time, remember to take me with you.
Take me with you.
Can we get a sailboat chasing down the sunset as we float round and round the globe? Salty air and balmy nights, guided only by the lights above, and light little love. Oh, the world is out there waiting to explore, and all our troubles here wanting to be